Happy New Year and welcome back to my channel. So this is the first video of the new year. I'm actually filming it on New Year's Day. So look at me go, I'm on top of things. Probably not for long though. As you can see, I look horrible. My apologies. I just kind of decided last year, some of my videos I tried to like be put together, you know, and I just think that that's not me. That's not working for me. I also just had my wisdom teeth removed. That's why I'm very puffy. I don't know what to tell you about that. We're just gonna ignore it. I'm tired. It's the morning, but that's when I get the urges to film these videos. I get urges to like film videos in times when I look like crap. So I've just decided we're just gonna get into it and live our little unhinged lives right here. So grab your cozy little blanket and snuggle up and let's get into this video. I reread the Selection series. Wait, let me fan this like it's cool. I reread this series in November, December-ish of last year now. Haha. Sorry, it's the last time I'm making that joke. And I first read it in middle school. No, I did not. I first read this one in middle school. And I really liked it, but I didn't like reading in middle school, so I like didn't vibe. This is probably like my worst video ever, but we're just gonna vibe. Come vibe with me, please. I'm begging you, please vibe with me. I read this in middle school. I don't even think I finished it. I think I stopped about here, and I had my friend just tell me what happened in the end. Because I didn't like reading. It was not my forte. It wasn't for me. But over again November, December, I was like, I have them. I have all three. And I was like, let me just finish. Like, come on, I just need to read them. And I didn't remember anything that happened in here except for like the main premise. So I was like, let me just read it. For like a YA dystopian, it is dystopian, it's not fantasy. For a YA dystopian, I think it's pretty good. I don't think it leans too heavily into the like, I don't know how to describe what I'm saying. I don't think that this series leans really heavily into our current issues and how they will affect the future. I think it just kind of like makes up its own future, but like I vibe with that. I love it. It's a really cool place. Ilya is an amazing world that I love being in. I just don't think we'd ever get there. Whereas with something like The Hunger Games, you're like a little too close to home, Suzanne Collins. Overall, I rated these 4 stars. But you came for my just unhinged thoughts. Again, I read these a month ago, about most of them. I think the last one I read like the 20th of December, which was like 10 days ago. So I don't really remember, you know, little tiny little details, but I do have notes, and we're just gonna vibe. And if I get something wrong, I apologize. Correct me and tell me I'm dumb. I don't care. I will believe you. So starting us strong with The Selection, which is the first book. Shocker. This selection is about a girl named America living in this dystopian country of Ilya, which is like, I think it's the entire continent of North America, but I don't know because there's no map in the front. So if these did get reprinted with a new edition, I really think they should add a map, but like that's just me. So in this dystopian world, there are caste systems, and they are 1 through I think 8. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure 8 is like homeless people, and then it's above that, like servants, and then it kind of goes up until you get to 1, which are like royalty, and like 2 is like famous people, and then everybody's in between. America is a 5, and she's like in the artist cast, so her entire family are singers or artists or other types of musicians, and she is like the OG, not like other girls girl, and that's what we love about her. The Prince of Ilya, he becomes of age, and it's time for the selection, where a girl from each one of the provinces, which is like states, gets chosen to compete. There are 35 girls competing for one crown in the competition of a lifetime. So the Prince Maxon kind of has these 35 girls come to the palace, and the whole selection is pretty much him trying to narrow down and pick his future wife. Shocker, America gets chosen for the selection, and she doesn't want to go because she's not like other girls. And that's like the basic premise of this first book. You're probably like, oh my god, wait, isn't there a love triangle? You probably didn't say that, but yeah, there is. America has like a boyfriend back home who's like in the first chapter of the book, I think. And that's another reason she doesn't really want to go, is because she is like planning on marrying him, even though he's a caste below her in like the servant. I think he's like a housekeeper or something. And that is pretty much the selection, book one. What I did love about this book was the world building. I thought that it was very unique. I do, like I said, I don't see it ever happening in real life. It is set up in like a good way, but also like easy and digestible. And so like you can follow along, whereas with some dystopians or fantasies, you're like, what is going on? This might be like a hot take, but I think America, Maxon, and Aspen, all three of them together, are at their best in this book, because I feel like, you know, they're at the beginning, they haven't had any character development, and they don't go through any negative characterization, if that makes any sense. Like, I didn't find myself hating any of them at any point in this specific book. And so I think that the characters are really amazing in this book. One thing I think that isn't executed very well in this book is the other 34 girls in the competition. She gets to the competition like pretty early in the book, probably like here, maybe here. And she gets close with a few, but some of them, I'm like, who are you? Like in later books, they'll be talking about a girl, and I'm like, excuse me, I don't remember you here, because I feel like the girls that are like established in this book, I can only name three: Marley, Ashley, and Celeste. Those are the only three that like stand out in this book, and I think that that's crazy because there are a lot more that become important later on. I think that they could have been set up better in this book, but I understand that there's 34 of them, and that's a lot of characters to set up. But I do think that some of the important girls in later books aren't set up well in this book. Overall, I gave it 4 stars. Cruising right along to The Elite, which is book 2. It's gonna have like mild spoilers, I guess, for the first book. So if you don't want to know anything about this series, I mean, like, stop watching this video. But pretty much The Elite is what they call the last 10 girls. And so at the end of this book, it is narrowed down to, I think, 6 girls. It has been narrowed down to. And so when we start the book, we are at the Elite. We've got our Elite 6, and everybody's vibing. Only they are not vibing, because there's a lot of like rebel activity in this book, and like rebellions against the kingdom, and specifically like the government structure in this country. Now, I really loved that stuff, and that's like the majority of the book, so I thought that was amazing. But the other part of the book is America's what will she do? She is going back and forth between, do I want to be with Maxon, the prince, or do I want to like stick it out and ride it out with Aspen? That is pretty much the 2 parts of this book. You got the rebellion stuff, and then you got America's really annoying internal dialogue. Starting with the things I loved about this book, like I said, the rebellion things, I was really vibing with. I loved everything that had to do with the rebels. I loved everything that had to do with all the secrets about the government that America was finding out, and like why the rebels were attacking. And I loved all of that stuff. I thought it really added to the world building, and it made this world seem less perfect, which made it like more interesting to me. The other thing that I loved in this book was Maxon. Love him. Like, he is amazing. I think that he is the best character in this book, and I think that this is definitely his book, and he gets more depth in this book. America finds out about his past, which, I mean, you would think like he's a prince, like whatever, but he has some like things that America finds out about, and it just like breaks your heart, but at the same time you're like, you know, like you feel them bonding and in love. And I think that this is really Maxon's book, and I really loved this book because of the like depth he got. Things I did not like in this book where Aspen and America, shocker, America is so annoying in this book, and I kind of just skipped over it. I like sped read through most of the sections where she was like, because it happens like 4 or 5 times where she's like, but I love Maxon, but I've always loved Aspen, and Aspen has my heart forever. I'm gonna love Aspen. And it happens so often that it's so annoying. Her internal dialogue makes me want to throw this book across the room, because it's like that annoying and that repetitive. I also think that this is the book that makes people start hating Aspen, because personally, I mean, I didn't like Aspen, but he only has like 1 or 2 sketchy moments in this book, but he's like a walking red flag in this book, and we don't like that. Even though American and Aspen are like horrible in this book and I don't like the characters at all, I did end up rating it 5 stars because the like rebellion stuff was so intriguing that like I loved it so much. And we are finally at the last book, book 3, The One. If you couldn't figure out, we are now down to 2 girls, and he's kind of figuring out who he wants to marry. The elite, I think, stay until like halfway, maybe more than halfway, like here-ish, I don't know. And then he narrows it down to 2 girls. I'm conflicted about this. I think it was like an okay end. It's a pretty good end to a series, but I feel like there could have been more and there should have been more. I think that the beginning is really drawn out and the ending is really sped up. Like I said, in this one, he's kind of choosing what his future looks like, who he's gonna marry. The rebels are kind of amping up and everything is getting more intense, and you're supposed to feel like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? But you kind of just vibe through the book. I keep saying vibe, but like that's what we're doing here this new year. We're vibing. The things I liked about this book was America finally making up her goddamn mind. Like, my god, this girl, she literally could be given like a penny and like a little more shiny of a penny, and she could sit there debating about which penny she should take for like days on end. She could like she's like queen of pros and cons lists, and she doesn't even make them. She like just lists them in her head. She's like, well, this, oh my god, it gets tiring. Okay, the girl can't make up her mind, and she finally comes to a decision about her own feelings and her own heart, and we're all like, yeah girl, we knew, we've known since like here, like come on, like and we're all happy she's finally like made a decision. So that's what I liked. That's what we all liked. We were all like, yes girl, finally, I'm sick of your internal monologue being the same problem over and over again. So that was nice. I also really liked America's little like rivalry with the king in this book. It starts in this book, but in this one it kind of like ramps up, and it's kind of scary. Like, I was kind of intimidated by the king, and I'm like, he's a fictional guy, he's not gonna like jump out of the page and get me, but like I felt like you could, you know. I also liked the kind of insider's look we get at the rebellion and its workings, and like what their goal is and why they exist and all of that. I thought that was really well done, and I thought that seeing the rebellion from the perspective we get in this book is a lot different than the perspective we get in this book, and I thought that was really interesting. What I didn't like, Aspen, you know, he could have like spit some words out really early on in this book, and then we wouldn't have had as much emotional turmoil in America's mind, you know, and he didn't, so we're stuck with it. I love Maxon in this book, but we all know that one scene I'm going to be talking about where I'm like, I could have ripped his head off. There's one scene towards the end where I'm like, bro, like what? He just gets so angry and out of character, and the things he says are horrible, and his actions are like kind of justified because of what he thinks, but he won't listen to anybody. And I'm like, bro, this is very uncharacteristic. Like, I get you're mad. And I think that she was trying to show like his inner like father in him, but it doesn't come off like that. It comes off very, I don't know, like toxic. Like, I don't know. I didn't like it. That one scene is horrible. And I also hate the aftermath, like right after, where everything is just quickly and swiftly dealt with. Like, we're fine again. Everything's perfect. We're perfect. And I'm just like, a minute ago, he was literally screaming at you, like, what is going on here? I feel like that should have been like the midpoint, or like the conflict of like the third act before like the conclusion. It was like right there at the conclusion, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, this is something that needs to be dealt with, and then it was never dealt with. It was just kind of like swiftly picked up, and so that made me mad. But I rated it 4 stars anyway, because like, again, the vibes are immaculate. Overall, I liked this series a lot on Reread, and you know, even though I am turning 20 next month, I vibed with it. Like, I loved it. I thought the world building was amazing. Like, this is like perfect escapism if you're looking for something to just kind of take you far away from reality. It is like royalty, so like loved that. I felt like I was like dancing around in ball gowns half the time, or being like shot at by rebels, which isn't as fun. I think if I had actually finished reading it in middle school, I would have liked it a lot. I mean, I liked it a lot now anyway, but in middle school, I remember liking it, but like not liking it enough to read it all, because to my middle school self, like, that was a lot. That was way too much. Like this was a lot. Like, you couldn't ask too much of me. I was like reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid or something. It resurges every couple months, or I haven't seen it for a while, like on TikTok. There are a lot of people on TikTok who love it. Like, I love it too. I'm kind of worried, and I kind of am scared that this like Netflix adaptation might never happen, but I'm hopeful, because I feel like this would be amazing movies. That it is an amazing series, and I think that it deals with a lot of issues that preteens and teenagers kind of deal with. Even though it takes place in this dystopian world, it still deals with like everyday issues of, you know, when you're in love with the prince and your best friend as well. Like, oh my god, what do you do? Like, they're really quick and easy if you are like a fast reader. Even if you're not a fast reader, they're quick and easy. The writing style, again, is for like middle schoolers, so it's not extremely hard to read. They're only like 320 pages each, which is nice. And I mean, I usually don't like people on the covers, but like, I think these covers are iconic, so like, don't you want that on your shelf? Like, okay, I'm done. I've like pestered you enough with my like weird chaotic energy, so I just hit my tripod. I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. Thank you for watching. If you have any other like books or series that you want me to read and do a review on, I am like more than down to do it. I do have a lot of videos planned for this year, so let's hope we get them done. I hope you have a happy and healthy 2023, and I hope you meet all of your Goodreads goals, because I know I'm gonna be struggling to reach mine, so I'm sending good vibes your way so you meet yours. I will see you next time. Bye.